Hi guys, my name's Deb Money and I'm from Aussie Maille. Welcome to our chainmail tutorial channel. Hey there, welcome, hello, how are you to everybody today? Thanks for popping along and checking out our channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create our 4 Winds Romanov bracelet. Alright guys, let's just jump straight into it. Okay, so here's a sample piece of the bracelet that we will be making today. So to make a bracelet that is approximately 20 centimeters in length or about 8 inches, you're going to need the following components. Okay, so in bright aluminium, 18 gauge AWG, which is 1.0 millimeter diameter wire, you're going to need jump rings that are 3.5 millimeter ID, and you're only going to need about 18 of these. Also in 18 gauge AWG, you're going to use jump rings that are 3.75 millimeter ID, and you're going to need approximately 252 of these. And then finally in 16 gauge AWG, which is 1.2 millimeter diameter wire, with a ring ID of 4.5 millimeter, and you'll need 18 of these. You're also going to need to complete the bracelet some sort of bicone bead. These are Czech crystal bicones. They're 6 millimeter, and depending on the length of your bracelet, you will need 9 of these. You're also going to need some sort of wire or head pin or eye pin, something like that to string the beads on. I'm just using some head pins that I have. So you'll need 9 pieces of wire or however many beads you're using. And you're also going to need some sort of clasp. We're just using a stainless steel Lobster Clasp today. Now for tools, you're going to need a pair of wire cutters, a pair of round nose pliers, and for the chainmail portion you're going to need 2 pairs of smooth jawed pliers. We're using pliers here from our Xuron range. These are the chisel nose pliers and these are the short nose pliers. Okay, so to start I'm going to actually make up the little beaded sections that we need. So to do this I'm going to take one of my head pins. Now these head pins are about 7 centimeters in length roughly, a couple of inches. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to just take the actual little knob off the end, and I only need pieces that are about 3.5 centimeters in length. So I'm actually going to chop this in half so that I get 2 pieces out of the 1 head pin. But whatever you've got lying around, whether it's eye pins, pre-made eye pins, or just pieces of wire, whatever you've got will be fine. You need to cut them into pieces that are about 3.5 centimeters. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to take one of my pieces of wire and I'm going to create a little loop in the end of my wire, just like that. And what I like to do is I actually like to do this twice. So I'm going to go back in and continue to wind my wire around a bit so that I've got what appears to be 2 loops at the top of this here. It just makes it look a little bit more substantial in the weave and makes it a little bit stronger. So once I've got those 2 loops there, I'm going to pop on one of my beads, and I want to create a similar loop in the other end of my wire. Okay, so I'm going to go around once as I did, and now I'm going to go around a second time. Okay, so I've gone around about the same as the other one, and as you can see there's still quite a lot of movement here on this bead, and we don't necessarily want that movement. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to go back in and I'm just going to continue winding from both ends until I've got both loops snug up against my bead. Okay, and then what I really want, see how we've got one loop sort of down here on this half and one loop up the top. We don't want them like that. We want our loops to be both on the same side. So I'm just going to give one of these a little bit of a twist so that both of our loops end up on the same side of the bead. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to go back and have a look. So if you've got too much left over, if you're too, if it goes around a third time or something, you can go back in here and cut off the ends of your wire or your head pin if you feel you've got too much in there. But I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to leave that looking like that, I think. And that's one beaded unit. So you just need to go ahead and make up the rest for that. So depending on your bracelet, make up however many you need, but to make the bracelet the length that we're making it today, you will need 9 of these units. So you go ahead and finish making up those units, and I'll meet you back here to show you what to do next. Okay, so the next step is to start the maille, and we're going to be using the 18 gauge 3.75mm ID rings here, and we need to create just a simple chain that is 4 rings in length. So just the single ring chain, as you can see here, 4 rings in length, and we need 4 of those for each Romanov unit, and we've got 9 units to make the bracelet up to the 20 centimeters. You don't need to make them all at once. You can make just 4 up for your first unit and then make them up as you go along, but you need at least 4 of these chains every time you want to construct a unit. Okay, so we've got our 4 pieces of simple chain, and our next step is we're going to fold these rings into position. So what we want to do is we've got rings number 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, sorry, you may not have seen that because of my fingernails. These rings are very small, so I'll do my best. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So to fold this, we want ring number 1 to sort of go down, to hang down. Ring number 2 stays up there. Ring number 3 folds down behind ring number 1, and ring number 4 folds up and sits on top of ring number 2. Okay, so oops, so that we've got a piece that looks like this. So once we've got those rings folded into position and we've got rings number 2 and 4 sitting up here on the top, we're going to take up an opened ring and we're going to go through those rings and circling that eye that's there in the middle. So that just means simply going through the middle of both of those rings, okay, and doing it up. Okay, so our work looks like this, and then we want to turn our work around so that rings number 1 and 3 are now sitting up the top, and we want to do the same with them. We want to put our ring through those, going around the eye where those 2 rings overlap. Okay, close that up. And there you have what is known as a cloud cover unit. That's a completed cloud cover unit. So what we want to do though is convert this into a 4 winds unit. And to do that, we carefully flip our work over like this so that the back is now showing. And see these 2 rings just here. This one here and this one here. Those are the rings that we just added. And we want to flip those so that they go towards the center of our weave and touch. Okay? And that is known as a 4 winds knot unit. So as I said, we need to make 4 of those. So very, very carefully, because you don't want this to come unraveled, We sit that down to the side and we make up some more of those. So I'll just show you again because it is a little tricky. We've got our single chain of 4 rings, rings number 1, 2, 3, and 4, working from left to right. And what we want to do, we want to fold these. So rings number 1 go down, rings number 2 sits up, ring number 3 folds down in behind ring number 1, and ring number 4 goes up. Now I know that's a little hard to see. These rings are very, very tiny, but this is what you want it to look like. So this is ring number 1, ring number 2, ring number 3, ring number 4. Okay, so holding on to those so that rings 2 and 4 are looking at us. We're going to take up an opened ring. We're going to feed it through the ring here on the right, ring number 4, bring it around and bring it up through ring number 2, just like that, so that the ring encircles the eye there. We're going to close that up. Okay, so our work looks like this, and then we're going to turn that around so that rings number 1 and 3 are now on the top. Okay, so there's rings number 1 and 3, and we're going to do the same there. We're going to take up an opened ring, so these are the 3.75mm rings, and we're going to go through those rings around the eye there. Close that up. That's your double cloud cover unit. So remember, we want to flip that over so that it looks like this. And then we want to fold down these 2 rings here, this one here, and fold this one up so that they come in together and meet in the middle. That then becomes our 4 winds knot unit. Alright, so you guys go ahead and make up the rest of those units. Remember, we need 4 of those units for every Romanov section, and I'll meet you guys back here to show you what the next step is. Okay, so I've got my 4 units that I need made up, and I'm now going to start joining these together. And to do that, we're going to pass a ring through 3 of the rings in each unit. And those 3 rings are this one down here, this one, and this one. So rings 1, 2, and 3. So taking up another one of your 3.75mm rings, the ones that you use to make the unit, we're going to bring that up through those 3 rings there. So up through rings 1, 2, and 3. But don't close it yet. We need to pick up another one of our prepared 4 winds knots unit and do the same with this one. Go up through rings 1, 2, and then 3, and then come in and close that ring up. Okay, so your work looks like this. And then you want to pick up another ring and go through the same path. Okay, so just feed it through the same path that your first ring has gone through, and close that up. Okay, so there you go. Your work should look like this. Your 2 rings in there. So put that down, and we're going to do the same with the other 2 units that we made up. So take an open ring, carefully pick up one of your prepared units and feed it up through 1, 2, 3, those 3 rings just there. Let it drop, pick up your final unit, and again we're going up through rings 1, 2, and 3, making sure you pick up the 3 rings, and then we're going to close our connecting ring up. Okay, so your work looks like this. We're going to tighten this all up by popping a second connecting ring in there. So just through the same path that your first ring took, making sure you pick up all the same rings. Okay, and then close it up. Now this is a little tight, so if you've got some thin jawed pliers, they would be best. Okay, so then you've got 2 of these 4 winds chains, and we're going to connect these together. So to do that, we're going to grab one of our 16 gauge 4.5mm ID rings this time. And we're going to feed that through one end of our chain, through those same 3 rings, but it's a little bit easier this time because our rings are our chain is sort of squashed, and we just want to take it through these 3 end rings here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, just like that, nice and simple. Okay, and then we want to pop on the other one, the other chain that we made up, again through those same 3 rings on the end. And we haven't finished yet. Now we want to take one of our beaded units and we want to pop that on as well. And then once you've got all of those on, you can close your ring up. Okay, and your work will look something like this. So we want to bring our units down around our weave. That is the Romanov effect. Okay, and we want to close that up. So to do that, we take up another 16 gauge 4.5mm ID ring, and we just do what we did before. We go through those 3 rings on the end, we go through our beaded unit, and then we go through 3 rings on the end of our other unit. Okay, and then we close that up. Okay, so that's it. That's our completed 4 Winds Romanov unit. So you continue to make up the units like this until you have the amount that you require, which for the 20cm bracelet is 9 of these units. So if you want to go ahead now and make up the rest of the units that you need, and I'll meet you back here to show you how to complete your bracelet. Okay, so we just now want to join all our completed Romanov units together. So to do that, take up your 18 gauge 3.5mm ID rings and feed it through one of the 16 gauge rings in one unit, and then there's another 16 gauge ring in the other unit. Now what you do want to be aware of, when we made the beaded units, there was the loops went to one side. So when you're putting your bracelet together, you want to make sure that your beads are all in the same orientation. So you can see here that I've got the beads sitting on top and the loops are sort of going in underneath. Does that make sense? See how the loops are sort of hidden away under the beaded unit there? So I want all my beads to face that way. I consider that to be the top of my weave. So when I'm putting these together, we want to make sure that our beaded units are all facing the same way. That is, the top of the weave is always on the same side. So once you've got that worked out, just join your 2 units together with the 3.5mm ID rings and double that up so that you've got 2 for each connection. Okay, and then once you've got all of the units connected to reach the length that you require, we're just going to pop on a clasp attachment ring, which in this case is just a 3.5mm ID ring. You can use whatever you've got lying around and pop your clasp on that, and then on the other end you just want to put another ring or a chain of rings to attach your clasp onto. And that's it, guys. That's your finished 4 Winds Romanov bracelet. Hey guys, well that's it. That's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I enjoyed creating the bracelet for you. If you did enjoy the tutorial and you'd like to offer us some support, don't forget to give it a thumbs up here at YouTube. Share, comment down below, ask any questions you have there. We'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel. Every time you guys do something like that, it does help us and it enables us to make some more of these free content videos for you. And while you're here, don't forget to check out the link to our website where you'll be able to buy all the tools and components that we used here today in this tutorial. Alright guys, so as I said, thanks very much for popping along and I hope to see you again sometime in the very near future. Okay, bye!